This is the best way to ruin your success or your chances of success. Simply worry. If you worry, you're not going to have fun. You're going to hate wrestling. You're going to hate high-level endeavors. And if you don't whip this now as an athlete, it's going to carry over into your whole life. But if you do learn to get perspective and wrap your brain around it and sort of, give yourself the tools necessary. See, we're always looking for the wrestling moves, right? The wrestling move tools. And, we do that a lot too, in our academy and our camps, obviously. But we also focus on positioning, hand fighting, organizing our thoughts, learning to have complicated thoughts in practice, but very narrow and basic, simple thoughts in competition. So, as far as avoiding your worry, here's a few ideas. Number one, start to look at your life in chapters. I know a couple of guys who failed to win the NCAAs, and then they got a professional, and they sat down and mapped out their life after, college wrestling, pretending they never did win the national title. And they learned that their life was going to be amazing anyway, even if they were only an All-American, which they already were. And both went on to win the NCAA title. But there was a chance they wouldn't, right? Obviously, because other people are doing these great things too. So there's always a chance you won't win. The whole thought process of, if it is to be, it is up to me. That might be true, but remember, your opponent, the top 1% athletes in America have the same approach. They're good. There has to be some things go right in order to win. There is always an outside chance that you won't win. It's just the way it is. A business deal could fall through. You could not get the job. I mean, anything can happen, right? I mean, you can get a car wreck today. We don't know what's going to happen. You could blow your knee out of socket in the NCAA finals. I've seen it happen, right? One of my teammates did that. He was winning. He majored that guy earlier. So, I mean, there is a chance you're not going to win. So, if the thoughts that you may not accomplish your goals are what's causing the worry, go ahead and map out maybe your life. We like to look at our life in chapters. If you're a super successful athlete, but then you're a loser the rest of your life, then you're probably just a loser. But if every chapter in your life has a lot of success, now your whole storybook of your life, every chapter is success, right? So planning for the worst takes the fear out of it, okay? And you as parents need to do that too. Especially if you have a high-level athlete, they probably won't be the Olympic champion, okay? It's hard to do. You can just look at the list of Olympic champions who never made Team USA ever again. There's been quite a few, okay? So you would think that the Olympic champion coming back would at least be able to make Team USA. Doesn't always happen, right? So as far as worry, look at your life in chapters. Plan your life out, worst case scenario. Deal with the fact that it's going to be an amazing life anyway. Don't wrap your whole existence up in this one chapter, because that creates fear. I know it's important. It's important to me too, right? And this is something I struggled with as an athlete, and I work hard for our athletes not to. All right. I just got a text from one of our girl wrestlers. She was like, "This is my first varsity match. I'm very nervous. What should I do? It's my first event as a team. I don't want to let anyone down." And my text back was like, "Screw what they think. Be selfish." That's great advice. What do you care? Right? Quit worrying about what other people think. I mean, this girl's an amazing wrestler, right? Don't worry about it. Just say this. Don't be embarrassed to lose, right? Sometimes we fear losing. Some of the times we're embarrassed. I think looking back in my career, the times I didn't perform well, I was embarrassed to lose, right? So I'm like, only think about yourself, right? And if anybody criticizes, fine. One day you'll watch me on ESPN, right? People criticize successful people all the time. They're still criticizing Nick Saban, right? And the Alabama football coach. let them criticize. Who cares, right? Why would you engage in those thoughts, right? So there's some ideas on worry. As far as getting over worry, number 2, I would study success. I would listen to hours of books, and books on tape, TED Talks on overcoming sports anxiety, pulling the trigger. I mean, just immerse yourself. It's like, marinate your brain in this. You can't listen to one 3-minute video. You should listen to 30 or 40 or 50 or 80 hours of things on YouTube, books on tape. A lot of them won't resonate, but that one thing that someone says, change your whole wrestling career, change your whole outlook, all right? So I would like to see you quit waiting for this issue to go away, all right? The worry won't go away. You don't have the tools to deal with it. You can't drill a single leg 3 times and take down the national champ. Why do you think you can listen to one 5-minute video and change your whole course of your wrestling career? You have to constantly engage and listen and learn. Just be a student, right? We're always trying to become a physical specimen by being in great shape and lifting weights, to become a technical master through drill time. But, there's a 3-prong approach. We have to develop the emotional toughness and the mental skills, right? And so we have tons of videos here, and that's what I like to do, is help people through this aspect of it. Because once you whip this, I've dealt with the same emotional issues building a big wrestling business that I did as an athlete, right? And so these are skills that are going to help you. So study success. That helps you to rewire your brain so you don't have these default patterns that you drop into, which is worry, okay? Number 3, get mentors and lose the losers. If you have friends who are losers, lose them, right? You don't have to cuss them out and leave them, but you just start to move to a different group of people, right? Maybe someone is very negative, and I don't just mean a mentally negative person. Maybe they suck you down into where maybe your work ethic isn't where it should be, right? Maybe you have a little bit of a follower in you. Some people do. Just admit it and fix it, right? I remember I was in 6th grade, my 2 best friends since kindergarten, their brothers and sisters were kind of just dope heads, really. They were in high school, and these 2 kids, Greg and David, they started drawing marijuana leaves, pot leaves on their folders. After about 3 days of seeing this in class, we had almost every class together. I went to the teacher, asked to move. I went to the other side of class. Probably by Thursday, grabbed my lunch tray, went and sat with the soccer team. I never talked to those kids again. I'm not bragging, but I'm saying I knew I needed to get away from them, and I was like 12. So you need to do that. Lose the losers, all right? And then if they're great guys that aren't losers, but they're just negative people, they're bringing you down, just learn to avoid them, right? And if maybe it's a coach, learn to avoid that one coach who is super negative. That's his default. He can't help it. He's 40 years old. He's never going to change. You need to avoid him, right? And you just hang out with other coaches. Sit on the other side of the gym. If your dad is a negative person, talk to your mom about it and say, we got to get this guy away from. He makes me feel terrible before my matches, right? Sometimes as dads we do that too, and we don't mean to. Sometimes it's not the dad's fault. The dad can say the same thing I'm saying, but when I say it, your athlete, your son or daughter takes it as coaching. But you can say the same exact thing, the same exact way, and then they take it as criticism. So it's kind of like a coffee filter, right? They filter it differently. By the time it comes through the filter of father, son, it's different than when it went in. Me as a coach, I'll say something to the kid and they'll go, okay, thanks, coach. But you could say it. So sometimes maybe as a parent you're not negative, but your kids perceive it, all right? So we don't want any dads to get really butthurt here, or moms. But, as my son got older, especially in middle school, he was having issues. And I told him, what do you want me to do? I'll sit in the stands. I don't care. He goes, I want you mat side, but I don't want you to coach me. So I got a couple of my buddies, one of my coaches, and he coached my son, but I was mat side. He kind of wanted that emotional support. Then obviously in high school, I sat in the stands. So think about getting some mentors to follow, and then losing the negative ones in your surroundings. And number 4 is you want to commit to the finish line. You want to commit to solving this problem that you have, right? This problem of worry. So by committing, you're more likely to be very hard-headed. And when you're hard-headed, you're like, no, it's like a single leg. I will have the best single leg in the state. It's going to take me 8 months, but I will do it. And I plan times to drill my single leg and my best 5 setups and my best 3 finishes. And I'm committed, and I've got sticky notes around reminding myself, and I build in times to drill on my own after the coach runs the practice. I'm committed to having the best single leg in the entire state. Well, you want to be committed to having the tools and the emotional toughness, and to be able to take worry out of the equation, so that you can have, you can walk down this path towards peak performance. Right? So the best way to ruin your wrestling career is if you're a worrywart and you don't solve that problem. Good luck to you.